The ground shakes like a tired giant trying to stand. Metal groans. Wind howls. A pump jack thuds in the dark, slow and stubborn like a heartbeat that won't quit. Out here, money smells like diesel and dust, and every drop is paid for twice. Night presses over the oil fields, thick as smoke. The sky is a low ceiling, heavy with storm. A single light blinks on a distant rig, then another, then a line of them like a chain of watchful eyes. The land is flat, cold, and full of secrets. Steel arms rise and fall, never stopping, never caring, feeding on the dark beneath our feet. You can hear the dirt talk when the wind cuts across it. It says, "This place takes what it wants." Tires grind over gravel. Boots crunch on broken rock. A gate creaks open. Metal scrapes against metal. A lock clicks shut. Somewhere, a dog barks once and goes quiet, as if it knows better than to ask who's there. A flare stack snaps to life, and a clean tongue of fire licks the sky, turning clouds the color of bruises. The storm answers with a low rumble that rolls forever. A pickup idles out of sight. The engine hum carries a tired promise. One more run, one more deal, one more chance to push luck past the edge. Paper rustles. A pen drags a signature across a contract you will never see. The wind steals the last line and buries it under the hiss of gas. A phone lights up in a hand that stays just outside the frame. One text lands. No reply. The screen goes black. Somewhere a valve turns and pressure builds. You can feel it in your chest, a tight band that won't let go. The rigs keep dragging their steel knuckles through the earth, pulling up the old blood, slick and eager, as if the past were fresh again. The smell is sharp and bitter, a mix of diesel, grit, and rain that hasn't fallen yet. Far off, a siren sighs and fades. Dust lifts from the road, dances and falls like it forgot why it rose. The fence line stretches to nowhere, barbs catching scraps of plastic that flap like tired flags. Shadows move behind the wire, not fast, not slow, just sure. A boot heel grinds out a cigarette on bare rock. The ember dies with a soft crack. Silence follows for a beat, as clean as a cut. Then the pump jack thuds again, steady as a judge. It counts time the only way this land understands it. Stroke by stroke, deal by deal, loss by loss. Somewhere, down in the dark, the wells whisper to each other, and the story they tell is always the same. There is more to take, and there is a price. The storm comes closer. The first cold drop hits dust and turns it into a dark dot that grows and then disappears in the spread of more drops. The air tastes like metal. A radio mutters a number code that most folks don't know. The voice clicks off. The wind swings the gate shut and the chain rattles like bones in a jar. Headlights sweep across rusted tanks, fresh welds, handprints that won't wipe off, and a path that looks like it was made by men who never turned around. The light keeps going, then stops on a sign peppered with dents. The letters are chipped, but the warning still holds. Keep out unless you can carry the weight of what comes next. The engine stops. The tick of cooling metal is the only sound until the ground starts to talk again. It says names, but not out loud. It lists debts. It keeps count. A glove tightens. A door opens. Nothing moves in the frame, and yet everything does. The rigs bow and rise in a slow prayer that has nothing to do with mercy. The fire leans in the wind like it heard a secret and wants to tell it. The storm lays its hand on the line of power poles and the hum deepens, as if the air itself is bracing. Somewhere a latch lifts. A case closes. A boot steps forward. You don't see a face. You don't need to. It's enough to feel the land breathe in, hold, and wait to see who will break first, the men who think they run it or the ground that knows it owns them. The thud comes again and again and again, and with each beat the truth gets clearer. Nothing here is given. Everything here is taken. And by the time the rain truly starts, it's already too late to stay clean. Asterisk a pen scratches across paper. Not one word, not one mark of ink, happens here without a shadow leaning over it. Contracts don't just sign themselves, they breathe, they bleed. Behind every deal is a face you'll never see, a hand you'll never shake. The air in the back rooms tastes of stale coffee, burnt wires, and dust from roads no storm can wash away. A drawer slams. A safe door closes. A stack of bills thuds onto a desk like a gavel with no courtroom to answer to. Out here, the law is thin, stretched, torn like old leather. Greed fills the gaps. You hear voices, sharp and low, talking about acres, rights, futures. They speak in numbers that carry more weight than names. Drill deeper. Push harder. Don't ask. The voices overlap, blending into a murmur that feels less like men speaking and more like the land itself demanding its toll. Silence cuts through, sudden, sharp. Someone shifts in a chair, wood groaning under the lean of a man who has already taken more than he was given. His silence says louder than his voice ever could, "You will give or you will break." A phone rings once, twice, then stops. No answer. The quiet afterward is heavier than the sound. In the hall, footsteps pass, then fade. A lighter clicks open. A flame flares. Smoke curls. A shadow presses the cigarette down into glass until it dies with a hiss. Across the room, a briefcase rests on the table. Its metal edges gleam, catching the firelight from a rig flare through the window. Hands reach out not to open it, not yet, but to test the lock. It doesn't resist. Nothing resists here, not for long. On the edge of the frame, a fence rattles. Outside, the rigs keep pulling, arms rising and falling like the breath of beasts chained to the earth. Their rhythm grows faster, or maybe it's just the heart inside your chest keeping pace. A door creaks open. Wind pushes in, carrying the sound of boots on gravel, the low growl of an idling truck, the wet slap of rain starting to spit against rust. A man's shadow fills the doorway. He doesn't step in. He doesn't have to. His presence is enough to shift the weight of the room. Voices start again, sharper this time. Everyone's got a price. A pause. A chair scrapes back. And if they say they don't, they're lying. The words hang there sticky as oil. Someone laughs, a short, dry sound with no warmth. The sound of a safe being spun open answers it. Metal clicks, gears grind, and then the door gives. Inside, stacks, bars, papers, a gun resting on top like punctuation. The camera never shows it straight on only the shine, the shape, the outline that promises more than words ever could. Lightning cracks outside, tearing the night wide open. The flash throws long shadows over the table, stretching across papers, hands, and that silent briefcase. The storm presses closer, its voice louder than men, louder than machines, louder than promises. But still, the rigs don't stop. They can't. Their rhythm is eternal. And in that steady grind is the truth. Men bend, land waits, oil flows, the room grows tighter, the air thick with smoke and storm. Someone coughs. Another voice cuts in, quiet but sharp as barbed wire. You think you own the land? The land owns you. For a beat, there is no answer. Just the hum of power lines outside, trembling in the wind, and the ticking of a wall clock no one looks at. The words sink in, deep as drills cutting through shale. Deeper than pride, then movement, fast. A contract is shoved across the table. A pen dragged, ink bleeding into the lines like it knows this isn't a deal, it's a debt. Fingers tap the wood, impatient, demanding. A lighter flares again. The briefcase opens this time. Inside, stacks gleam under the sick yellow light. The hands that touch them don't linger. They grip, fast, hungry, knowing nothing lasts. The camera never shows faces, only fragments. A wrist tightening around a glass, a jawline in shadow, a scar on a knuckle gripping a pen too tight. Power here doesn't wear a face. Power here is in silence, in the contracts that bind, in the rigs that thud, in the storms that won't wait. The conflict isn't one man against another. It's all of them, together, against the truth buried under the soil. The deeper they dig, the darker it gets, and still they dig. Asterisk, the storm finally breaks. Rain lashes the dust, turning dirt into mud that clings to boots, splashes on steel, streaks down the glass of trucks waiting in silence. The rigs don't pause. They thud harder, deeper, as if the earth itself is panicking. Thunder rolls, not just in the sky but in the ground. Pipes rattle. Tanks groan. Somewhere, a weld cracks. Somewhere else, a pressure gauge spins out of control. Out of the dark, headlights flare. They cut through sheets of rain, blinding for a second, then vanish as quick as they came. Doors slam. Engines roar. Tires throw mud high. A figure runs across the frame, coat heavy with water, breath ripping out in ragged bursts. He stumbles, gets back up, keeps going. Behind him, a dog howls until the sound breaks into silence. Inside a cabin, a phone screen lights again. This time it glows red with missed calls, stacked one after another. No names show, only numbers, repeating, relentless. A hand hovers, hesitates, then closes the phone without answering. The storm outside screams louder than any call could. Lightning cracks and shows the chaos in pieces. A flare stack exploding into flame, fire rushing up into the black sky. A truck skidding sideways on the soaked road. A gate ripped open by the wind, its chain flung wide like broken shackles. In the wet dirt, tire tracks fork. One set leads away, the other circles back. You can't tell which will hold, which will vanish in the storm. A contract rips. The sound is sharp, final, louder than the storm for a single heartbeat. Paper tears down the middle, ink bleeding as rain hits it. A boot heel grinds the scraps into the mud. That paper was supposed to bind futures. Now it's nothing but pulp, melting into the earth. The fire spreads fast, eating through spilled oil that glistens across the ground like a black mirror. Flames dance in the reflection, reaching higher, greedy, alive. Someone yells, a single word lost in the storm. Another voice answers, sharp, cutting, then breaks into a cough. None of their faces show, only their shadows twisting against the firelight. A gun loads. The sound is clean, cold, echoing against the steel walls of an empty shed. No one speaks. No one has to. That click is enough. The storm rattles the tin roof, every drop like a drumbeat counting down. A boot shifts. A shadow lifts something heavy. Then silence falls for a split second, like the world holding its breath. Chaos takes over. Sirens wail in the distance, muffled by rain. A police cruiser slides across the mud, lights spinning but never quite reaching the truth hidden in shadows. Somewhere, glass shatters. Somewhere else, a door slams so hard the frame cracks. The sound of fists against wood joins the storm until it's impossible to tell where nature ends and man begins. In the middle of it all, a case snaps shut, fast, firm, its lock catches with a click you can feel more than hear. Hands carry it through the storm, tight grip, no hesitation. Headlights catch the briefcase just long enough to flash silver. Across its surface before the darkness swallows it again, the rigs keep moving. Always moving. Their rhythm grows into a roar like giants pounding the ground with steel fists. Each strike feels like judgment. Each strike feels like a warning. But no one listens. Not here. Not anymore. The storm's voice deepens, heavy as betrayal itself. A figure kneels in the mud, hands pressed hard into the ground as if begging it to open up, to swallow the secrets, the lies, the deals gone wrong. But the land doesn't forgive. It only takes. The rain drives harder, washing sweat and dirt and blood into the same dark puddles that mirror the fire. Burning on the horizon, a siren cuts off suddenly. Silence follows for a beat too long. Then, a scream short, sharp, then gone. The storm drowns it out, but you heard it. Everyone did. The briefcase reappears at the edge of the light, carried by hands you don't recognize. The owner doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside, and the truth is this: whatever was promised, whatever was paid, it will not be enough. Not for them. Not for the land, and just when it seems the chaos can't climb higher, the power cuts. The rigs stop mid-stroke. The fire flickers. The night swallows the field whole. For breath, there is nothing, no sound, no light, no storm. Only the memory of what just burned. Then the pump jacks start. Again, 1, 2, 3, as if nothing happened at all. This land doesn't care who betrays who. It only cares who's left standing when the storm is done. Asterisk, the storm dies without warning. No slow fade, no gentle retreat. One moment, it rips across the fields like a pack of wolves. The next, it's gone, leaving behind silence thick enough to choke on. The ground still trembles, not from thunder, but from something deeper, the steady pound of rigs refusing to stop. Their iron arms rise and fall in the blackness, striking with the patience of gods too old to care. A single drop falls. Not rain, oil, thick black slick. It runs down steel, catching the faint light of distant flames. The fire hasn't died. It never does. It lingers at the edges, glowing in the dark, as if waiting for its moment to return. Boots squelch in the mud, slow, deliberate. Each step echoes in the emptiness like a clock tick. Whoever walks does not hurry. They don't need to. The land belongs to them, or maybe they belong to the land. A chain rattles. A lock dangles, broken, no longer keeping anything in or anyone out. The wind shifts and the night carries whispers. Not words, not exactly. Just fragments. Promises made in smoke-filled rooms. Threats carved into silence. Laughter that never reached the eyes. All of it drifts across the field like ghosts refusing to stay buried. A fence post leans, its shadow stretched long against the fire's glow. Torn plastic flaps weakly, caught in the barbs. It sounds like breath? The rigs thud again. Louder this time, closer. Their rhythm doesn't match any heartbeat, it drowns it out. Until flesh and steel are the same, then a sound, clean, sharp, final, a case slamming shut. Metal clicks. The echo runs across the empty land, carried by the wind until it fades into the hum of power lines. Whatever deal was made, it is sealed now. The land doesn't care if it was fair. It only cares that the price was paid. The camera cuts to black. Silence holds. A pause long enough to feel heavy, to feel wrong. Then a single thud. The rigs strike again, slower now, heavier, like a drum marking the end of something you didn't realize had started. Letters begin to form in the dark. Not clean, not polished. They rise out of grit, out of fire, out of shadows that won't let go. The word builds stroke by stroke, jagged, metallic, inevitable, landm, and the beat continues. The letters pulse once, then fade into storm-washed steel. Another line etches itself beneath, scarred into the screen like it was burned there. Season 2, a single flare lights in the distance, one last burst against the night. It throws long shadows across the mud, catching the broken fence, the rusted tanks, the boots still planted in place. For a breath, it feels like a warning. For another, it feels like a promise. Then darkness takes it all. Silence again. Except for one sound. The rigs, thud, 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 dot, dot, a voice not heard but felt, brushes against the edge of the silence. Only on Paramount Plus. The echo stretches, fades and dies, leaving behind the truth carved into the bones of the land. No matter what burns, no matter who falls, the drill never stops.